Hello and welcome to the Gaming News Roundup. My name is Amata and I'm going to give you all the latest in gaming as of the 9th of June 2012. The first thing is about the PlayStation Vita. Now, I'm sure as most of you have seen over the last few days of E3, both Microsoft and Nintendo demonstrated their second screen functionality of their consoles, which was all very interesting, but Sony, although they didn't really follow the trend, it has been basically revealed that they are still planning to let PS3 users use the Vita as a second screen with that particular console, which I'm sure you would agree is very, very interesting indeed. Now, I'm going to quote directly here. One of our main strategies is the broadening of the PlayStation ecosystem, whether it's the use of the Vita in some sort of second screen capacity or whether it's like the announcements yesterday of PlayStation Mobile. I think that ubiquitous access to content is something that consumers are expecting and are entitled to. It's one of the great things about a company like Sony is that we can provide it. We're very pleased to do that. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued to see what they will do with this. Using it as a second screen for the PS3 is actually quite an ingenious choice, because not only will it add extra functionality to the PS3 and enable some very, very cool features with certain games, like I imagine they just do so much with this, with so many different types of games. It also basically boosts the sellability, or if that's even a word, of the Vita, as obviously, you know, if someone thinks, oh, well, there's this game coming out for it and I can use it with my PS3, then, you know, they're more likely to buy it, which I'm sure has entered their mind. Sony aren't stupid at the end of the day, so I'm quite intrigued to see what they're going to do with this and how developers will make the most of it. I think that's the key thing here. This is a very cool piece of functionality. I just feel like developers need to make the most of it and just not treat it as like a tacked on thing, say like a random Wiimote waggle like you get with a lot of Wii games that just seems there just for the sake of like, this is why it's on the Wii kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully they don't go down that route, but I doubt many people will do that. I feel this is going to be used in some very interesting and intriguing ways, and I'm just very curious to see as to what's going to be happening with that. The next piece is quite an odd piece of news, actually. Basically, Hideo Kojima has basically claimed that social elements will be incorporated into the future Metal Gear Solid games. Now, what he means by this is a little bit unclear. There is a load of stuff he said in a recent interview, but it seems a little unclear as to what he actually means. He just basically says that Metal Gear will change in certain ways to integrate the social aspects, and how these social aspects can make the Metal Gear games more fun. And he also added, quite interesting actually, that his goal was not the social gamers or the hardcore gamers, even though I really dislike that word. It was both of them, and I feel like maybe he's trying to kind of connect the two, because obviously if you've got the social aspect to integrate the two, you've got the hardcore audience, and then obviously you've got them interacting with the more casual or social players, if you will. So I'm just kind of wondering how exactly this is going to be implemented and what effect it will have on the game, and will it have actually any effect on the community. I mean, at the moment you can't even rightly say that there's a rift between casual and hardcore gamers. There's not any connection at all. They're seen as two completely separate entities by most people anyway. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but that's the way it seems to me at any rate. So I just wonder if this will have any effect by maybe having the more casual players interact with someone who's more passionate about that particular game. Might that make them a slightly better player by having someone who knows what they're doing say, oh, this is what you need to do, or just, you know, things like that, or just igniting their interest in that particular world. So yes, it's going to be very intriguing and interesting to see what he means by this and how he's going to implement it into the future Metal Gear titles, and what that will mean for Metal Gear in general. Obviously Metal Gear, insanely popular franchise, and rightly so as well, so be interesting to see what he means by this and how exactly it's going to be implemented. You know, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think he means? What do you think it means for the future of Metal Gear? And do you think that it will have any positive effect on this whole hardcore versus casual gamer thing that we've had going on for quite some time now? And finally, we have some more news concerning Mr. Hideo Kojima here as well, but more about his Fox engine, which may not have wowed everyone at E3 as much as Ubisoft's and Square Enix and Epic's new engines did, but it still looks very impressive, and he's made some interesting claims actually. He's described it as an entire toolset, and it also claims that basically it will enable developers to develop for multiple platforms at once. Which, as I'm sure you will agree, if this is true and if this functions in the way that he seems to be describing, could be very useful for developers indeed. And he also says that basically it's designed to be running on PS3, 360 and current gen PC. So this isn't something that's designed for the consoles that are still in development. This is something for now, which makes it even more interesting. Okay. He also mentioned about the engine, saying that a developer could look at objects and gameplay in real time while they're developing, which he claims will basically save time on basically you developing something that is actually not going to end up in your game. I don't know how true that would be. Sometimes you need to test it out with real players or beta testers or whatever before you know that actually this doesn't work. Looking at it for objects would obviously work. Say, oh, actually no, I don't like that design or whatever, and not waste time, which would be nice. It kind of adds a more sort of streamlined feel to the whole development process. I'm sure developers will make some very interesting titles with this and find some unique and creative ways to use this particular engine. And also as well, what I find particularly interesting is that he's claiming that they paid a lot of attention to the lighting effects of this particular engine. He's saying that the light shines through and reflects off different materials, which is something that couldn't be done before in past generations, but can of course be done now. So that's another cool feature of this particular engine, and this all sounds very interesting. I mean, his engine, as I said earlier, was a bit overshadowed by Ubisoft, Square Enix and Epic in particular. I mean, I was very impressed by Square Enix's engine that was shown myself. The demo that they showed at E3 was very, very impressive looking. This has been kind of overshadowed by those ones. However, it does seem like he still obviously put a lot of work into it, and this engine will still be very useful. And the fact that it's designed for basically now, the PCs and consoles now, we may see it come to play a lot earlier than those other ones, which are probably more in mind for the future consoles, which are obviously not going to be out for some time yet. Anyway guys, that's me done for the day. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give me your thoughts on everything I've discussed. I want to hear, or as always, I want to hear your opinions and everything on what I've said and what's news items. You know, what do you think? What effects do you think these items are going to have? And yeah, if you could just give us some comments, let us know how we're doing, that would be good. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.